Hey there, viewers. Whenever we hear the word inflammation, we immediately think something's wrong. But did you know that inflammation is also a sign your body is healing? It's the natural way your body protects itself when injured or sick. The problem is when inflammation lasts a long time. Chronic inflammation can cause serious health issues like obesity, heart diseases, and diabetes. In today's video, we'll be talking about foods that cause inflammation. Why is sugar at the top of our list? What makes high fructose corn syrup bad for you? What about artificial trans fats and vegetable oil? We'll talk about all of these and more. Number 1. Sugar and high fructose corn syrup. When it comes to the Western diet, table sugar, also known as sucrose, and high fructose corn syrup are the two major types of sugar we consume. Table sugar has glucose and high fructose in equal parts. HFCS, on the other hand, has 55% fructose and the rest glucose. We've all heard about the harmful effects of added sugar. Contrary to the natural sugar existing in foods, added sugar is bad for your health. This is because it can cause inflammation in your body. This inflammation can lead to chronic and harmful diseases. Results from one study showed a diet high in sucrose increased the risk of breast cancer. This can eventually spread to the lungs as well. The inflammatory properties of sugar were partly responsible for this development. It's the same in the case of fructose. The small amounts of fructose you do get from vegetables and fruits won't cause any issues. But if you consume too much fructose, you might end up getting sick. Research shows fructose can cause inflammation in your endothelial cells. These particular cells line up all around your blood vessels. So when they're inflamed, it can increase your risk of heart disease. Do you eat a lot of sugary foods? Are you keeping track of the amount of sugar you eat in a day? Share your preferences with the Bestie community in the comments below. Number 2. Artificial trans fats. While not all fat is bad, artificial trans fat is the unhealthiest fat you can eat. Artificial trans fat is made by mixing hydrogen fats with unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats are generally liquid, but once the hydrogen is added, they become a lot more solid. When you look at the labels on your food you purchase, you may not have any listings of trans fats. Instead, you should look for partially hydrogenated oils. For instance, most margarine you purchase will have trans fats. In fact, most processed foods will have it, as they extend shelf life. Dairy and meat do have trans fats, but they're naturally occurring and not artificially included. As such, they do not cause any inflammation. But artificial trans fats certainly cause inflammation in your body and increase your risk of getting a chronic disease. When you eat artificial trans fats, you'll be reducing the amount of good cholesterol in your body. It also increases inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, or CRP. Now, what is CRP? Well, C-reactive protein is a type of food in your blood plasma. When inflammation rises in your body, circulating concentrations of CRP also rise. According to one study, women who had the highest intake of artificial trans fats had about 78% more CRP. This indicates a higher level of inflammation among women who took a high amount of trans fat. Looking for answers on all the latest health and wellness news? Hit that subscribe button and join our millions of followers. Stay up to date on all of our great Bestie content. Number 3. Vegetable and seed oils. Compared to the previous century, the amount of vegetable oils used in the United States has risen by 130%. Certain vegetable oils, such as soybean oil, may be responsible for increasing the chances of inflammation. This is because all of the omega-6 fatty acids in these oils. It's necessary to note that you do need some omega-6 fatty acids in your body, but you'll need to balance that out by eating foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids. This way you can improve the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 and make the most of your anti-inflammatory properties. In a study, a group of rats were given a diet in which the omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids ratio was 20:1. These rats showed a much higher level of inflammatory markers compared to the groups whose ratios were 1:1 or 5:1. Considering vegetable oils are a major component in most processed foods and are also used as cooking oil, it's important to balance this out with foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids. This ensures that you do not increase the chances of inflammation. Before we move ahead, here's another video you might like. Sure, there are foods that cause inflammation. These foods destroy your health in the long run, but what about foods that have the potential to kill you instantly? Watch and learn more about foods people eat that can kill you. Now back to our list of foods that cause inflammation. Number 4. Refined carbohydrates. Although carbohydrates are known to be bad for you, there are some that are good for you. Human beings have always had a diet rich in fiber and unprocessed carbs. It's always been in the fruits and roots they eat. But the problem comes with refined carbs. They're the main culprit when it comes to inflammation. When carbs are refined, most of the fiber in them is removed. This is a problem as fiber can help satisfy you after a meal and create healthy bacteria in your gut. Additionally, refined carbs come with a higher glycemic index, GI. This is compared with carbs that are not processed. This is important because foods with a high GI will raise your blood sugar levels. Research showed that older adults who ate the highest amount of GI foods were nearly 3 times more likely to die of inflammatory disease. In another controlled study, it was seen that young and healthy men who consumed 50 grams of refined carbs in the form of white bread had a higher level of blood sugar. This also increased the levels of a particular inflammatory marker. You'll get refined carbs in foods such as breads, pastas, cookies, and cakes. These refined carbs can also be found in sugary soft drinks, candy, and processed foods that have added sugar. Number 5. Excessive alcohol. Alcohol is something else that can harm you. Of course, when you drink in moderation, alcohol can provide some health benefits. But it's only valid if you can keep your consumption levels under control. According to a study, people who drank alcohol had a higher level of CRP. It was seen that the more alcohol you drank, the higher your CRP level was. There are issues when it comes to high amounts of alcohol intake. When you drink too much, you develop bacterial toxins. This will not stay in your colon and instead moves into your body, causing health-related issues. This condition is known as a leaky gut. When this happens, you'll increase the risk of inflammation to most of your organs. Eventually, this can turn into organ damage. If you want to avoid these issues, you should reduce your alcohol intake to a maximum of 2 drinks a day. This applies to both men and women. Number 6. Processed meat. You should avoid processed meat whenever you can. When you eat processed meat, you increase the chances of heart disease and diabetes. You might even have to deal with certain types of cancer down the road. So what falls under the category of processed meat? Well, processed meats include foods such as sausages, beef jerky, bacon, smoked meat, and ham. The reason they're harmful is because they have a higher amount of advanced glycation and end products, or AGEs, compared to other meats. These AGEs are usually formed when you cook meat at high temperatures. AGEs are the reason for inflammation in your body. Of all the diseases you might suffer from due to processed meat, one of the most common is colon cancer. Sure, there are many reasons why a person develops colon cancer, but when you eat processed meat, it causes your colon cells to become inflamed, resulting in disease later on in the future. Knowing about inflammation-causing foods helps you stay healthy in the long run. You better start cutting down. Would you like to know about foods you need to eat to stay healthy, or foods that naturally cleanse your body from the inside? Let's keep things going with a couple more videos, shall we? Watch 20 nutritious foods that you should be eating every day. You can also try our video on 10 great foods that naturally cleanse your body. Go ahead and click one, or better yet, watch both, and learn more about health and nutrition. Did you know about these inflammation-causing foods before watching this video? Will you be cutting down on these foods? Let us know in the comments below.